Welcome to Lady Geek Live, a Geek Insider production with me, Meredith Lochran, as your host. Today we have special guests from the comic book realm, Alfred Paige, Saida Temofonte, Marvin Wynn, and Bahkta Ranjan Behera. Let's talk comics. The EDGE and C.H.E.S.S, command headquarters of espionage and strategic strikes.
Nice.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lady Geek Live. It is Sunday, 5 o'clock, April 26th. And with me, I have the creative team of the crossover comic, The EDGE and C.H.E.S.S. And we're going to go around the table here and just kind of introduce ourselves. And then we're going to get right into it. So welcome, guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bahkta, do you want to start first? Because you are in India. It is actually very, very early in the morning. So we appreciate you being here. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. My name is Santosh, and my nickname is Bhakta, and I'm pass out in BFA, Bachelor in Fine Arts, from 2000, and then I'm create my comics last 12 years. Then I have some teams in India work with me in penciling, coloring, and everything is comic. What we will do. Then I'm started my B studio with my team. I'm here. Work with me some 20 to 30 people artists, and I'm uh, uh, Mr. Thank you.
Okay. And we're going to add Saida.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I am Saida Temofonte, and I'm just going to read my bio that I prepped earlier, but it's pretty much, all the information that you need to know. I was born in Italy, but I spent half of my life in LA, California, and I actually just moved to Florida last year. So I started lettering in California, and in 1997, when I first got a job with Richard Starkings at Comic Craft, and then Comic Craft basically folded, and then we all went on our own. And I hear a lot of background noise. I don't know if you can hear me. But anyways, after that, I've just been standing off on my own. I have been doing work for DC, Wildstorm, Marvel, Chimera Press, Zenescope, Valiant, Wave Blue World, Lion Forge, Vault, IDW, Oni Press, Blaze, and I'm sure there's other ones that I just can't think of right now. I like drawing, working out, hiking. Now I like fishing because there's so much fishing around here. I'm going to have to learn to like it. No, but I like it. I like it. And I watch a lot of sci-fi, and I like to cook, and I miss the desert horribly, but eventually I'll get over it. And so here I am.
All right, and we're going to move over to Paige here. Let's get you up on the screen. Hi, Alfred.
Hi. How's everybody doing?
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Alfred Paige. I'm the creator of Project C.H.E.S.S, a comic book I started some years ago, back in early 90s. And just kept developing, doing some side issues, and building up to this moment. I enjoy writing. Been doing the comic book for a few years, doing conventions, meeting new people, and it's an enjoyment that I love. And I'm glad to be here with this set of good people here today to talk about the new project.
Yeah, very good. All right, and we're going to put up Marvin here. Hopefully, we had a little bit of feedback from your mic, I think. Marvin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, is that okay? The
Yeah,
feedback.
that's better. That's
Okay.
better.
So I'm Marvin Wynn. I am the writer and creator of The Edge. The Edge started off in, I think, 2012 was when we finally got the first issue rolling. We are now we were set to release issue 10 this year, but due to everything that went on, we had to cancel that release. And we also had to cancel the release of our source book. So the basic story of The Edge is there's a drug called The Edge that gives you powers, but as you lose those powers, it breaks your body down and can eventually kill you.
Ooh.
Good.
Wow. Okay. Let me see. Let me pop everybody back up here on the screen here.
All right.
There we are. There's the team. And we're missing one person from your team who unfortunately couldn't
Mike.
make it.
Mr. Mike Lynch.
Mike
Yes.
Lynch.
Yeah. Anybody want to give him a shout out?
Yeah, I shout him out. I worked with Mike Lynch over the years. He's a fantastic writer. I worked with him on a comic book called Daisy Chain and another comic book that we worked on together in the past. He's fantastic at breaking down scripts. We worked well together, and I wish he was here today to tell you what more he got going on. He has a lot of projects going on at the time, and you shout out Mike Lynch. You wish he was here.
Mike Lynch. All right. So here's my question, because I'm a writer, I'm an interviewer, and I'm not so much into comic books. So I'm kind of in this strange territory. And the more that I'm learning, every day I'm learning something new, the more it's hard for me to believe that it's not hard for me to believe. It's very believable that there's this huge team that goes behind creating one comic book, from the artist to the I guess the penciler, the person who does the ink, the letterers, the story writers, the storyboarders, the printers. I mean, there's just so much that's involved, and we don't always have those people right near us. I mean, there's always a search for the right team for that project. So I really want to kind of hear your story. How did you get into what you do? Like Bahkta, you were saying that you're an artist with your studio and you work with other artists. How did that come about? And then I'll kind of go around in a circle and ask some individual questions. But Bahkta, I want to start with you. How did you start Bee's studio? How did you get involved with that?
I don't think he heard you.
Sorry, I cannot hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Let me repeat. So, how did you fall into the team with Bee's studio and find your group of artists? How did that start?
How the start? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, is there a little bit of a lag? Okay, Bahkta, we'll get back to you. I'm gonna type my question in chat because I think there's a little bit of a lag. Saida, let's go with you. So I mean, you have quite an impressive resume as far as lettering. Most people don't come out of the box saying I'm going to be a letterer for comic books. Like, what did you do in a past life, and how did you fall into this one?
Well, I've always been artistically inclined, but I started drawing when I was 30. So I was never really serious about it. So I knew I always had an eye for design, but I wasn't sure that I really wanted to draw for a living. So I just like to draw and mess with it on my own. And I actually, when I moved to LA, I started out working in a comic book store in Santa Monica, and I met Richard Starkings, who is the guy behind Comicraft. And he actually is the guy who, as far as I know, as far as the way he wants to tell the story, he invented digital lettering, because before that, the speech balloons used to be drawn in the comic by the artist, whereby now everything has gone digital. And so now lettering is just an added layer, an added graphic layer in a graphic program. So I didn't know I didn't know these programs. But I was pretty friendly with Richard, and I was just fresh in LA, and I wanted to, trying to make more money and maybe learn something creative. And that's how I started out. And I was very good at it from the very beginning. But I was also very fast, which is important because lettering is, the way I look at it, I have fun lettering, but it's not like drawing. So there is a creative side to lettering, but it's not like being an artist. So so I was pretty good at it, and I was pretty pragmatic about laying out my my work, being creative, and at the same time following the conventions of comic book reading order and all that goes with it. And so I was with Richard for a number of years until he decided to shut down the company. So me and the other players, my ex-colleagues, we went on our own. But the way we used to work at Comicraft is we would interact directly over the phone with editors at Marvel, at DC, and all the other smaller comic book companies, many of which don't even exist anymore. So when I went out on my own, I already had established a path for myself. I had already my own contacts, so it was easy for me to just work for myself. And so I was always pretty good with deadlines, except when work comes in for a letter, it can overlap pretty quickly. So and so I was able to make a living in an industry where I if you want to. So, but I just fell into it almost accidentally, but then it turned out to be a good fit for me, and I'm very grateful. I met a lot of interesting people. It's opened up a world that I had no idea I would stay in, and so the rest is history. I'm here. I can work from anywhere, and so I just changed state, so I'm still at it.
Wow.
And that's how I met Paige. I was checking out the local conventions, and so I just we just started talking, and here I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we're gonna try and get back to Bahkta because because I was able to send him my question. Go ahead, Bahkta, whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Uh, Actually, I'm started my career in 2000, and I'm working a publishing house in 2000 art direction. Then I'm started slowly one and two partners with my B studio. Then I will work with some local and international level publishers like Adventures Comics, and my local comics is the uh, uh, explain name is the uh, Macau Books. Okay, then I'm started my uh, team with penciler, inking, and uh, uh, designer with graphic designing. Because I'm art direction is the uh, My partner also helped me, and my family will help me for this studio started in 2000. uh, Here is now with me, work with me some good artist, penciler, and colorist, and inker, and other something designers also. Uh, then I am uh, uh, now I'm also children books, and gaming art. Also, we are doing and painting, and something 2D arts. Everything we will do, and I love my comics work, and I love to like to work with different and very creative uh, work, and I'm very excited work with you guys and everything. And I am work with Marvel and Glasshouse Graphics in USA, Florida, and now I'm working with American mythological, and Genscope and Dynamite and Big Dog, and this is Genscope, and yeah, this is on my New York friends, the only coloring, and this is one of character designing we did that.
Yeah, I mean, there's just such a huge variety of the different types of artistic styles that I'm seeing there. We're going to move over to Marvin. Let's go with you. Tell us a little bit about what you do, maybe what you did in a past life, and how you fell into comic books. Or is this something that you've always done?
I mean, I really started back in the 90s. I mean, I had a lot of fun reading X-Men from the 90s, the Image books from the 90s, and that just like lit a fire that I wanted to give this a try. I mean, when I started out, stuff probably wasn't as good as it could have been. And I don't think that anything would have happened if I wouldn't have met my artist, Mark. That's why I say that everything pretty much kicked off in 2012. And if we were doing backtracking, and Paige can attest to us with a few false starts early in our starts with other publishers, but I mean it flourished when we got Mark on board and he was able to make the designs of the characters and bring them to life. I said if anything that I write doesn't make a difference if he's not doing the art, which is why he's probably the only person besides a few other people who have ever done art on the characters.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Paige, how about you? What's your story?
How's everybody doing? Yeah, similar to Marvin, I was a big fan of the early '90s comic books. I was really influenced by the boom of Image, the Chris Claremont, the Jim Lee, Scott Bladell, Andy Kubert, and those type of influences. And when I and like Marvin, we jumped on, like he said, we jumped on some earlier studios. I known Marvin for a long time. Me and Marvin kind of started around the same time in the same place, and as much as the '90s comic books and the major comic book industry kept me going, it was people like Marvin that really kept me involved in doing the indie comic book. You know, this is a gentleman that stayed consecutive from the time that we started. His Edge comic book, I was able to watch an independent comic book stay consecutive, issue from issue, and growing. It just made me want to stay in it. You know, I started Project Chess back in the '90s as well, and I've been more sporadic with the storylines that have been going on through. But again, more because of people like Marvin and other creators that's in the field today. I'm trying to get more of a pace of a solid storyline going on, the
Mm-hmm.
characters, instead of being so sporadic with one shots and singular stories over there and over here. Project Chess is on. It's a 5-issue series. We're on issue 3 right now. Issue 1 and 2 did come out through Apogee Comics, Apogee Comics, and we're just looking forward to continuing that set, and that which led to this event right here, which is the EDGE chess crossover called the Phantoms. And the reason why I wanted to do this crossover is because, like I said, I've been a fan of Marvin for over the years. We always talked about how properties could interact.
And before you get any further, I'm actually going to insert a little commercial break here, and I want to talk about the crossover. So hold on one second or a minute.
Hey guys, how you doing? This is Jake Estrada from Indie Originals. This year, Indie Originals 2020, we've added another category, and that's comic books, independent comic book creators. That's right, guys. Here we are. We're inside a comic book shop, and look at all these beautiful comic books. I want to tell you, indie comics are the backbone of Marvel and DC, because Marvel and DC cherry picks certain creators, and they make these guys superstars. So that's why we added comic books. Because I'm a comic book guy as well. I'm the creator of Bokas, soon to be released feature film. And we also have Terrence Baker as a judge, along with Nino Mazzarina, who does The Unbelievable Laundry Detergent Man, along with his little comic strip that he does for the Chicago Tribune. You need to sign up. You can go to www.indieoriginals.com and sign up for the Indie Originals Comic Book Contest. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Peace out.
All right. Well, times are tough these days. I've heard people call it the Great Pause because of COVID, and I know that that's really affected all of you. But I wonder how badly it's affected all of you, because I know that there are a lot of content creators, artists, and people like yourselves who are using this time to really hammer out a lot of content. So I guess my question is, before we get back into the crossover, how has this great pause affected you guys? So we're going to go backwards. This time, Paige, how has COVID affected you as far as maybe sales or content creation and the whole shebang?
As far as making sales, everything shut down. The convention season shut down. But it in reverse, it has been great for a creative standpoint. I've been doing a lot more writing than I usually get a chance to because I'm home more, and starting on a couple of more projects, which I'm looking forward to working on. And so in that aspect, it's been great because it gave me time to really, be more situated at home and put that time together those stories, along with this crossover and some other projects. But I am very anxious to get back to the convention season and the sales season and the networking with other creators and stuff like that. So I'm ready for that. I only could be home, but so much.
Do you think that so you're saying that like the majority of your sales would be at conventions?
Yeah, we do some online sales. Issue 1 and 2 of Chess is on sale now online, and but I love the convention circuit. I do the convention circuit pretty heavy, and I love that road to sales, face to face, and meeting some new people and fans coming back that read the comic book. That's a great feeling, and having that interaction.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Marvin, we have you back here. How about you? How has the Great Pause kind of affected you as far as maybe comic book sales or just creativity?
Well, I mean, it's pretty funny that you say that. There was a group started on Facebook called Plan C, where Jennifer King bought a bunch of retailers on board that group, and they were pretty much grabbing indie books like hotcakes because they wanted to have new stuff in stores because people were still doing curbside and delivery. So I wouldn't say my sales were the same as they would be in a normal year, but sales did go up. for beginning of the year, even without the cons in place. I mean, like I said before, is that I've got 2 issues sitting in a box over on the other side of the room here that are waiting for release that I can't release because I don't have a release window. One, the issue 10 was going to be a release party at a comic store. And then the source book was going to be released at the Three Rivers Comic Con in May. That's been canceled.
Mm-hmm.
So while I mean, sales have been okay, but I mean, it would have been better if I had some cons and I got those books released on time like they were supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. So I'll probably get back to that because I am curious to know, like there are some people who are ordering ahead of time with the hope that the convention season will open up again.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to get back to that. Saida, how about you? Do you find that you're more busy, less busy? And how does the Great Pause, how has that affected you as far as work, if it has?
Well, it's hard to say because working from home and not being subjected to a salary. I mean, it sounds really like a horrible thing to be subjected to. Well, work has slowed down a little bit. Some of the projects have been delayed, and some of my projects have been redesign from print into digital. So, for example, DC, instead of printing a project, now it's gonna take it to digital. So I have been moved around a couple of times. And yes, I have experienced the pause. I cannot say if work has dried up for me. It just feels more like we're just taking a deep breath and waiting for things to be resurrected. So saying that I am in that spot that should be very grateful, because I know a lot of people have been completely cut out. So just like as if you would be investing in the stock market, it's good to diversify so that not all over your projects are with one company, whereby some of this. Okay, so this is what I've seen, that maybe the smaller companies, especially the ones that were involved with Diamond, have taken a pause. And are trying to strategize for new ways to put their products out. But as far as me, I haven't necessarily been taken out of the list of talent. It's just maybe it's just going to happen a bit later. So yeah. So I'm just home and
I know I work from home and I don't feel as affected, but my heart does go out to everybody who is. I have a lot of friends who are not used to being home. Maybe they're excited about the first week, and then it's like then they get to a point where they don't remember what day it is and how long they've been in that shirt. So Bahkta, how about you? Has I know that India has also been affected with COVID-19. How has that affected your studio and how much work you're getting?
Yeah, actually now here we are all work at home, and our studio closes the last 1 month, and here not affected like your USA and other state in European, and here affected, but not is the most affected in India. Okay, COVID-19, and here uh, 20,000 above patient, but not too much affected here, and we are working at home, and everybody we are meeting with our Zoom and other way, and we work together are to him just a
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, because I guess that's the beauty of the digital age is that we have the capacity to go out into the world and work and find new ways of communicating with each other and working with each other, even like sending files the way we do, putting it up on the cloud and being able to collaborate. So that segues really nicely into this project that kind of brought us all together here today. And that is with the EDGE and chess crossover. And now I know I have a picture over here of the one cover. Let me pop that in here. Here
Yeah.
we go. Here we go.
Yeah, that's that money right there.
So now these were independent comics. How in the world did you guys find each other and decide, hey, let's try and do a crossover and introduce our characters into each other's story? How did that happen?
Um, like I was saying before, being a fan of Marvin and following him, you know, us moving both, the way we've been moving, we always had to talk about our characters, introducing to each other. The outline fits each other's stories in a sense. So, and me being a fan of his comic book, and hopefully him being a fan of mine,
Of course.
we was able to interact a story. We tried it before, and I really want to do it right this time, and that's how we got to this point now. So I introduced the story to him, the idea to him. Let's try it this time, but this time I wanted to do it right. I wanted to have a professional look. Um, Bear Studios or Bahkta, they wanted to work on the chess comic book for, they've been asking for a long time. So I said, well, this is the opportunity. And I had to talk with him about, how we can make it look right. And then the icing on the cake was meeting Saida at the convention to bring that professional icing onto the project. And that just happened to be a gift to meet her and get the project looking as professional as it is. And the page has been looking fantastic. What
Mhm.
Saida did with the lettering is next level, and I feel we have an incredible project that we're going to introduce to the people of fans of both comic books.
So your role in this is as a writer and an editor.
Um, when I did the idea, and I introduced the idea to Mr. Wayne, and we approached it with Mike Lynch, who's the writer of the comic book
Mhm.
of the
The one who is not
crossover.
here.
Well, it's not here, and he's doing the breakdowns on the script as well, and that's how that got situated. So I talked to Mike Lynch about it, and the ideas of how I really wanted to go. I really wanted to represent Marvin's characters and my characters, so the fans of both, could really get into it. And I wanted to sound correct on both
Mhm.
ends. And we sat down, we talked about that, and right when I got the pages, I knew something was missing for that final look, and it just so happens at the convention, Saida walked up, and then boom, everything else is history. A perfect puzzle.
Yeah, that's nice when a plan comes together. And Marvin, what
Yeah.
was your reaction when you were kind of approached and said, "Hey, why don't we combine our characters and some of these storylines?" And what did you kind of contribute besides your story into this collaboration?
Well, I think it's just my characters and pieces of my story contributed a few other characters into the mix. Actually created a new character just for the story. He's called the Revolution. But I mean, it's like Paige was saying, like we did venture down this road a few years ago, and I didn't think we didn't think it probably was the right time for it then, but it's the right time for it now. And I mean, the sky's the limit because other things are coming. That it's going to involve more characters coming on board on crossovers.
That's right.
Hmm. And Seda,
And
so they were saying that you happened to, be at a convention And I know that there are huge differences between the different types of conventions. Like your smaller ones might be more of a networking opportunity, whereas the thing like MegaCon, it's almost like survival of the fittest. Is the best way that I could describe it. So maybe you don't have
there's
that
a lifetime.
so you don't have that time to maybe be one-on-one because it's so crowded and so noisy. So when you and Paige were starting to talk, what was that conversation like, and how were you you know, kind of lured into the project?
Oh, last year I missed a couple of the conventions that I usually go to because they were local to me. San Diego Con and WonderCon. One is in LA and the other one in San Diego. So like I said, I just moved and I haven't gone been postponed.
Did we lose you? Oh, yeah. I think we lost you a bit.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm having a bunch of lag time, so I'm just gonna try to do my best. Yeah. So basically, I was waiting for the next local Comic-Con that is local enough to Daytona. We're in Ormond Beach, 50 miles from Daytona, and so SpaceCon happened to be the first one to pop up, and I didn't know what to expect. But what you were saying about Comic Cons, smaller con, it's true. There's more opportunity to stop by the booths and talk to people rather than in this large con, when the attention span that you get from anybody is like 10 seconds, and so if you're there to pitch your work or to compliment an artist that you admire, you really have to, it's like you have to compress your piece of dialogue in a couple of minutes, because that's all the time that you're gonna have, and that's all the time that person's going to listen to you for. So it's definitely a different world, and I dare say maybe more genuine, because there's a lot of self-promotion in these big towns, in these big cities, among these big players, and that can become a little nauseating. Although productive, perhaps, but that's my take of it.
And Bahkta, I know you being in India, you don't have the benefit of coming to the cons, and I think the four of us surrounding you right now on screen we're all based in Florida. Yes.
I think not Marvin.
Marvin's not in Florida. Where are you?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, he's living a high life over there.
So as an artist, and there are so many with so many different artistic styles and things like that. Paige said earlier that you've been kind of contacting him, and that must be difficult because there's a lot of competition out there. How do you approach people and just say, you know what, I've got this talent and I can bring your ideas to the next level, if that made sense?
Bahkta?
Yeah.
Bahkta?
Sorry?
Oh no.
I don't think he heard you.
Oh, but no. So as an artist, we're always in the pursuit of finding work and finding people to maybe collaborate with. How was that path to finding Paige, and how long did it take before he kind of looked your way?
This is for my.
Mm-hmm.
You might have
Okay.
to type that to him.
Yeah. Well, Paige, maybe you can give us a little bit of insight because you said you did say that he was that he had
Yeah,
contacted you a couple of times.
he's been sending me samples for a minute. Saying that he really wanted to work on the chess characters. And I kept saying to him, I need when I come with a project for you, we'll talk. And then when I finally had the conversation with Marvin and Mike about the crossover, it's about his studios does you see the examples from the studio. He does great work. So
Yes.
we said, well, let's give this guy a chance to see what he can do with the pages and do with the script. And then when he sent the pages in,
Mm-hmm.
Marvin approved the look of the characters. Everything came out great. Everybody was happy. So we continued. We just knew we needed that extra oomph to bring it to
Mm-hmm.
the level that we needed it. And like I said, thanks to Saida's boyfriend, we was able to make that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did type the question in for Bahkta. How did you
Yeah.
hear about chess? Because there are a lot of comic books out there, and when you say, "Hey, I have this skill set and my style matches what I'm reading," um, and then you kind of go and pursue that. How did you hear about chess, and how did you find Paige?
Yeah, I'm meet Pege in Facebook. Okay, hear me?
Hmm.
Hi guys, hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm meet Pege in Facebook for chess. Uh, he's contact me. I will work with him this comic book, and I'm very thankful to Pege and Marvin. Is the great artist Marvin. I follow every Facebook his artwork and his work, and Chess is the very uh, I think for me is the great book, and I read the story and translate here in Indian language. And I saw my team and my partner also. They are very happy to work with these comics, and I just one cover did for chess. That is my favorite cover, and I. Uh, 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 very hard labor in this cover because I am direction in my artist, and he draw a lot of time. Is the layouting a lot of time? Then I will show Pige. Then he is approved. That I'll go to for coloring, and then it going now.
Mhm.
The chase is the my really I love that the story, and uh, I am going now work with inner page in page 6 starting in Monday.
Mm.
Then I will show you guys.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
Uh, Now, the Marvin, you were saying earlier that things were canceled as far as the grand reveals and I want to call it the grand opening, but that I know that's not the right term.
The release party.
So
The release
right,
party,
the release parties.
issue 10 of the Edge.
What what now? I mean, because everybody's kind of got this big question mark on whether or not other cons are going to be canceled or postponed, rescheduled. We don't know, and unfortunately, some of the cons that have been rescheduled are being scheduled on top of ones that haven't been affected yet because of their place in the calendar. How are you planning on doing this, the relaunch or the reschedule for this, for episode, for issue 10?
Well, I think what it's going to come down to, and I've been waiting to contact the store to see if possibly they would be interested in doing a small little con in the store. I mean, I think that that's probably going to be the best option. Going into a bigger location with a lot of people probably is not going to be a good idea for a while. So maybe a small show, maybe 15, 20 people would work better for going forward. I think smaller shows will be fine. I think the bigger shows are in trouble.
Have you thought about, all of you, have you thought about these virtual cons and what your feelings are about them?
Well, I think for the most part they work. The only problem that we're having with this kind of interaction is that one-on-one with a customer, that we can't get in front of someone, hand them the book and have them thumb through the book, or we can't say, hey, come over, check this out. It's really hard to get a new customer on this kind of venue.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nothing like the hands-on interaction with a new fan, new customer, and getting their interest into your project.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, it's kind of funny because I met Paige at the Space Coast Comic-Con in February, and you know, I think I came up to his armpit and he's like, "You're going to buy my book, right?"
I wouldn't say like that,
did.
but
no, it wasn't
the blackout
like that.
cover too. The limited blackout cover. Thank you.
I had to get that. Yeah, I had to get that with his signature there. You know, so I absolutely love it, and I did read it. I didn't want to break the spine, I have to say, but I had to read it. He shamed me into it. Shamed me. He says, "What are you talking about? You can't talk about the comic unless you read it."
That's right. That's absolutely true.
Well, that's why you buy a reading copy. You got to buy two, one to put aside and one to read.
Yep, and I'm looking at Pinpoint where it says here that it's coming soon.
Well, Pinpoint,
I wanted to talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was saying go ahead and talk about Pinpoint.
There's a lag.
Oh, okay.
There she goes.
Now, Pinpoint is actually a comic that came out before, and we're just going to re-release it with Apogee Comics. So that trade's coming out. Actually, that trade should be introduced in one of the packages with the crossover. So after we set this package deal up with this new campaign we're gonna do for the crossover, you're gonna have some items from the Edge side, some items from the Chess side, from the fans that's both, and the Pinpoint trade should be part of that. I actually did the Pinpoint in 2007. Came out through Big Dog Inc. in 2009, all 3 issues. It's a fantastic experience. I got a chance to tour the conventions with Big Dog Inc. and do the major conventions, and it's a fantastic experience. Pinpoint is one of the characters that people gravitate to out the chess team, and I love writing them, and you want to see them again in this crossover.
So is this crossover, is this going to be a one-off, or is this something that you guys as a team plan on continuing and maybe introducing new characters and storylines?
Well, the fun part about that is that we all had a chance to introduce a new character into the crossover.
Oh, okay, fun.
Marvin, as you mentioned before, he introduced a character called Rev the Revolution. I have a character in there called Cut Source. Mike Lynch has a character in there called Friction, and then there's the main character that's Bradley Mantle, and those characters form this team called the Phantoms, which is going to be the middle ground for these two teams to come in on. So that's the fun part, and what happens with these characters after the crossover is, it's open for both titles. You know, you could see them again in either title, which in a sense keeps the titles connected even past the crossover.
So now
that's
I'm
an
going to ask.
exciting part.
I'm going to ask a hard question here, because if everybody's got the creativity, I don't know if you've ever watched that movie Drumline, where everybody says that their section is the most important. And so when it comes to putting together this entire book, this project, it's a real collaborative effort. And so obviously the letter is important, the artist is important, the storyline's important. All of it is very important. I guess the hard question is, how do you guys split the profits? How does that work for you guys?
Well, the production is that's when it comes to best studios inside there's a production cost. That's more the upfront. The creators, as far as the campaign, you take off the campaign, hopefully, off a successful campaign,
Mm-hmm.
and down the road with the conventions and stuff like that, with the product. So, but definitely the most important part of the project is the production. So I will always leave that in the hands of like Fed Studios, Bahkta, and Saida to put together a comic book that everybody would want, and that's attractive to both sides of the fan base.
Because I understand that there are some studios who will say, "Hey, since you've all put into this project, you all have access to the files. You can take it to the printer, you can print it, and what you earn at a convention, because you have those production costs at the beginning, the printing costs and stuff. Those are all on the individual who maybe attends these different conventions." And so I was kind of curious about that. Nobody really likes to talk about the money aspect, because there is again, like you were saying, artists don't want to work for free. Letterers don't want to work for free. I mean, as a writer myself, trying to get into this, and it's like, unless you have a reputation, I think it's really hard to have a collaboration where it's built on trust rather than pay me. Can anybody speak on that? Like, at what point do you say, "Hey, I want to work with you, let's see where it goes," and where you draw the line of, "No, honey, you got to pay me first," and then I'm done.
I'll take that one. I think that goes along the lines of, over the years, there's been that stigma of the what do you call it? The exposure versus pay, and that a lot of people have used that to their advantage to get things done, and then they run off with whatever they have. Where a person puts their time into something, or sweat their tears into something, and they get zero at the end. So I think that's where a lot of the upfront pay, or the 50% here, 50% there pay comes in, is that other people in this community have taken advantage, and because they've taken advantage, that those kind of things probably won't happen ever again. Where it's a collaborative effort where everybody puts their piece in, and then after it's done, people then get the pie gets cut up.
Okay. Paige, do you have anything to say about?
Yeah, I agree with Marvin. I agree with like what he said. You cut everything up, but I mean, the upfront cost is just the upfront cost. If you want the project to look right, you want to turn a look. You gotta put that investment into it, into your project. So, um, I mean, I worked out that deal with Bahkta. I talked to Saida about how she could participate in what that deal would cost, and the idea is to put the most professional look together possible, and give the fans something that they really want. So it worked out. It works out in what you're trying to put together. You got to offer something that attracts the eyes. You also got another person, Nito Diaz, who's the artist for a lot of the IDW books, GI Joe and stuff like that, and he's also doing some feature artwork for the crossover as well. So the idea is to put together a product that people would really love to get their hands on.
Mhm. And Saida, I guess I'm curious to know, and I do want to follow up with you because I'm compelled by your story that you said you started at 30, but that might be for an interview on another day. When it comes to the work and stuff like that, I'm sure because of your resume, you've been approached by a lot of people. And how do you pick a project? How do you say yes to something or no?
Well, yeah, I started at 30 drawing for myself, but that's I pretty much started lettering when I was 27. So I think I missed part of your question because I had a little bit of lag. So you were asking if you could repeat the last part.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
so with your resume,
Mm.
I'm sure you get approached by everybody under the sun. How do you say yes or no to certain projects? How does that speak to you where you can make a decision?
Well, I always try to give a chance to everyone, except when I realize that maybe the team involved is so inexperienced that it it would mean for me to do so much work on the art files that I would step out of my role as a letterer and become the fixer of everything that it's not aligned for me to work comfortably and professionally. So that would be an instance in which I might step back because it would be unfair, an unfair use of my time, and I don't know if I would have done the same in the beginning. The thing that Marvin was talking about. There's always that moment in every artist, whether you're a designer or a penciler or an inker or a colorist, where you are going to desire exposure more than receive a profit. But the reality is that the world that doesn't work like that, especially in our older age, and I had already started late. um um oh god, I forgot my train of thought.
That happens. That happens.
Where I was heading. God, I'll
Well,
remember.
for how you say yes or no to different projects. If let's just say somebody who is new, but they have an amazing story that they you gave 5 minutes to and just did a read, and you felt that and you're like, wow, this is something that I can attach myself to. Does that happen?
Yes, and I have learned to actually sometimes see sometimes, since my contribution to the comic is just placing the letters. Maybe it doesn't require me to get very much into all the intricacies of the stories. Most times it's just satisfactory, that I just of character they are, if they're electronic, if they're alien, if they're human. um, because it kind of depends how the creators want the letterer to be involved. Some creators, they want the letterer to be as least intrusive as possible, whereby others really draw you in and they ask you for your opinion, and you feel you're really invited to place your little piece of art on top of the amazing art that probably has already been created. So, but there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and so I just have to understand what kind of creator I am dealing with. And sometimes, other times, it just becomes a matter of money. I have taken turned out to be very complex on the art side, but they really didn't want me my letters to be as little as invisible as possible, and I would just fly on these pages like crazy, and I would get paid my rate, and then that would be like a very easy project. But at the same, in that instance, it just doesn't create an attachment for me. It just becomes a money opportunity. But that's why I want to insist that the lettering, although important, is an important part of the creative team, is not as creative as the colorist, as the artist, and of course the writer. So
I've actually heard people
I'm just like a
debating that.
guest artist. A guest artist.
I've actually, if you've listened in to Luke Stone and Rob Anderson at all, a lot of times when they're live streaming, they would say that the letterer is actually very, very important because of style, placement. I mean, there's just so much that's involved with that for that full immersion in a comic book. But we are at an hour, guys. And so we're gonna close this up. And I really do appreciate the time that you're doing, Bahkta. You especially, because I don't think you slept at all, and I really appreciate your time all the way from India. I want to go around and please tell us where we can find you, and then for anybody who's watching, this is going to be up on YouTube and our Facebook channels. We're also going to follow up with an article, so you can find us on GeekInsider.com, and we'll have all of the links to them as well. But just so that we can close up with the interview, let's go around and just tell us where we can find you. Bahkta, you want to go first? Where can we find you?
Yeah. Uh, First thing, I'm thank to all of guys, and basically Merdit and Saida and Marvin and Paige, everything and everybody is the very helpful and very cooperative with me. I know my communication is not good, but I really enjoy guys with you, and I really very happy with you. I'm working with you as a part of artist, and you are really Paige is the great writer, and Marvin is the best artist, and Saida, I don't know, you are a letterer, I think, and designer, and Merdit, you are so nice guys, and my B
Oh,
studio.
thank you.
Yeah, and my B studio is everything and doing every artwork, just like comics, children books, gaming art, concept arts, and whatever you want, just call me, and you can follow me Facebook B Studio, and Twitter B Studio, and Instagram is the B Studio, and my website is the www.bstudio.com, and this is my link, and art station and the devent art, everything is my link. I will put my every link in Facebook and group. You are follow my every link, and lastly, I am very thank to you guys, and take care, and this time going to COVID-19, and you are guys safe, stay in home and safe, okay, and
Okay.
take care. take care, everything, and God bless you, everything, and your families. Okay,
Thank you, Bahkta. Thank
You
you.
too,
Thank
Bahkta.
you.
Have a good
Thank you
night.
very much.
okay. Thank you,
And how
guys.
about you, Saida? How about you?
Oh, I can be
Where can we
found.
find you?
Okay, well, aside from Facebook and LinkedIn, to Comic Vine GameSpot, and just enter in the search field. You can search character comics, but also people. So that's where most of my credits will come up, although they're a little bit behind. Not all the work is listed. They're catching up. And also I have an Adobe portfolio. It's kind of hard to find, but it's the portfolio that is managed by Adobe. It's let's see, it's a kind of difficult. It's kind of hard words. Behance.net/Saida
Mhm.
It's probably easier to just click on a link for that. But anyways, any Google search will bring my name up, and comics attached to it.
Fantastic.
Mm.
All right.
Perfect. Okay, and how about you, Marvin?
The Edge Comic
Whoops.
on Facebook, the Edge Comic on Instagram, and for some reason, someone's sitting on the Edge Comic on Twitter, but they've never sent a tweet, and they should give it to me. So
Oh, right.
it's Marvin Wynn on Twitter.
All right. And Paige.
Yeah, you can follow me on
Alfred.
Project Chess. Huh? What happened?
I'm teasing you. I'm teasing you. I think I'm the only
Oh.
one that calls you Alfred.
Oh yeah. You can follow me on Project Chess on Facebook. Issue Chess 1 and 2 is available now on Apple G Comics, and you can get those now. I'm also on Twitter under Tactics12. You go follow updates there as well, and just look out for that crossover. It's coming out, I believe, at the end of next month. You want to start the campaign for that. We're just waiting for some last minute details on that, and we promise to bring you a project that we all love, and we're just ready to get into your hands. If you're a fan of the Edge, you're gonna love it. You're a fan of chess, you're gonna love it. And if you like action and espionage, and you're a fan of the '90s comic books and the Wildcats, the Cyber Force, the Young Blood, you're gonna love this comic book, and we're ready to bring that to you and give you something you'll never forget.
Wow, the Wildcats, that brings me back.
Yeah, I
Well, thank you guys.
often call Marvin the Wildcats to my Cyber Force, or vice versa. That's we. Yeah.
Yes. So we're actually going to close up. I wanted to thank you guys once again. For everybody who's tuning in, be sure to reach out to geekinsider.com so that you can watch the replay. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're all over the place. And, this article, it's going to be in your inbox. So if you guys go to geekinsider.com and subscribe to the newsletter, you'll get the announcement in your email. And we do that every day. So on that note, guys, I'm going to end this, and we have our little closing here. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk in the green room.